Union family, my name is Nate Snyder. I'm running for DNC chair. My story is only possible here in America. I was born in Bolivia. I was adopted by Jewish parents. My mom from Pittsburgh, a librarian. My dad from South Philly, a social worker. I grew up in a neighborhood where the values of opportunity, hard work were respected. And these values pretty much shaped my journey and who I am. This is also why I joined the labor movement early in my career. I organized in upstate New York. I organized ARC workers, janitors, Head Start teachers. And the key here was realizing that protecting livelihoods was a battle worth fighting. Through that organizing, I was able to learn about the labor movement. I was able to learn the importance of empowering people for respect on the job, learning about their union, and then fighting for better benefits and wages. We now know that this is under threat. Project 2025 is a specific playbook to dismantle the labor movement and set back working families. And this is what I want to have a conversation about, and how we can partner with the labor movement as the DNC to put not only the needed resources, but to refresh our partnership and to be on the winning side of working families and stand up for the values that make us strong. In order to take on these challenges and have this hard conversation, we need to really speak truth to power. When I was in the labor movement, I learned from my union president, don't tell people what they want to hear, tell them what they need to hear. And that's exactly what I'm going to say here. For too long, labor has only been paid attention to, unfortunately, when there's elections, when resources are needed. And the partnership, when it's really needed, when it comes to card check, when it comes to neutrality, when it comes to protecting the livelihoods of those who are seeking to form their union, sometimes the only kind of resources you get is people showing up for picket lines. That's appreciated, of course, but the resources, the manpower, the women power is desperately needed, and many times when there are cries for help or intervention, those cries fall silent. So we need to ask ourselves, what does this new partnership look like? Do we stop going to labor as an ATM whenever we need GOTB funds? Do we go to labor instead with a proposal of solidarity and making sure Democratic candidates are supporting labor causes, supporting values that benefit the lives of everyday Americans? That is what we need to ask ourselves, and that is the conversation we need to have. We need to rebuild trust with working families. We saw in November that many of the vote share that we lost was because working families went another way, where we had healthy unions, we had healthy party infrastructure, and we had a winning message, but yet they went another direction. We need to figure out this challenge, meet voters where they're at, and have the hard conversations. Just like in organizing, 90% of it is showing up and listening. We need to do more of that. Further, we need to renew our commitment of solidarity with the labor movement, and not just have hard rhetoric, but also show up and then promote trust by action. So, how do we do this? We invest in modern organizing. It's very clear that the dynamics on the ground have changed, and so how we communicate and how we actually meet voters and working families where they are must also change. This means modernizing to new tactics, using the digital space, but also going back to old, true tactics of meeting people where they're at, organizing in their neighborhoods, and making sure that they have the resources, that parties have the resources, and there's a strong partnership between the labor movement to make sure that we can win this fight on the front lines. We must also restore the trust that we have with the labor movement. Like I said earlier, many of these voters left because there was a trust deficit. Simply, we not only need to show up, but we need to walk the walk. Of course, we have policies that have forever stood by working people. However, showing up when there is a need needs to happen more, and there needs to be more accountability. So when it comes to card check, when it comes to negotiating neutrality, when it comes to protecting workers as they're forming their unions, we need to do a better job showing up and making sure that we are in the fight with them and not just during election years. As I mentioned, organizing needs to change. The landscape has always also changed. We're now dealing in an age of mis and disinformation. We know this because we've seen these wedge issues, these falsifications, targeting working people, targeting unions, and we need a 21st century solution to push back against these narratives that are false and causing divisions within the labor movement. There's a way that we can do this. The DNC can and should partner with the labor movement to provide cutting-edge analysis on how to push back effectively. Because one thing that I know, and many here know, that unions are so powerful when it comes to educating their members. Unions are a trusted source of information, and they look out for the livelihood of workers they represent. This is a key advantage and where we can push back. But the DNC needs to do a better job by providing that information, and in addition to that, we need to provide a 24/7 rapid response posturing, because this kind of mis and disinformation isn't just going to happen periodically, it's going to happen more frequently, and it's going to get louder. So this is one of the new front lines that we need to face, and as a commitment as DNC chair, I will make sure that the labor movement has a partnership to where you get these resources. Winning working families back is not just about strategy, it's about values. Throughout my career, I've stood up for those who have been left behind. And I've also seen what's possible when workers are empowered to have their voices heard. The Democratic Party must be a partner to consistently amplify and uplift these voices. To the Labor Council and to labor allies, I look forward to having a longer discussion with you all on what we can do to make sure that the Democratic Party is not just seen in name as a partner to working families, but a partner in action. I thank you for your time, and I hope to hear from folks soon.